dear sisters and brothers, I'm extremely happy to be a part of this discussion. Constantly persuading me because I was trying to escape to some other program, but was consistently persuading me to attend this program. So now, on this subject, already the issues have been highlighted. So I would like to focus on what is the way out. So this issue had been in discussion in the labor circle for long. And last 1 year back, I had the fortune to be a part of a global level discussion at the ILO conference, where a convention on domestic workers, there was the latest convention, convention number 189, was adopted by the International Labour Conference. So there I was able to meet with many of the organizations. They are active in the Gulf countries. Those are active in the Asian countries, that is sending countries. And some labor unions are working in Gulf countries, but many of them are government-sponsored unions. So they are not interested mostly with the workers, but they are only a sponsored. They are only committed to their own government. So that situation also we had occasion to be. About 4 years back, I had an occasion to raise one issue related to Kuwait. Our Indian workers in Kuwait, their issues have been raised because Kuwait, many of us know that it is a Gulf country which is influenced by the America, West and other places. But still, the conditions of workers, their labor legislations are still primitive. So that issue was raised, and there was hot heated debate, and finally the government has agreed that they will modify the law called the Labour Code. They will modify, and they will also include some excluded categories of migrant employers. They decided, they agreed to the conference, and thereby the issue was settled. So from the experience gathered, there are some international efforts going on with regard to solving these issues. I would like to have a bird's eye view on those issues. Now, the Director General of ILO, who is now quitting ILO, he has said about migrant workers. Migrant workers are an asset to every country where they bring their labor. Let us give them the dignity they deserve as human beings and the respect they deserve as workers. Now, in China also, you will find migrants. Their condition you will know, because why I have brought this picture. Many people now say that China should be a model for everything. But you will find that only in cities in China the conditions are well off. But in villages, it's horrible, terrible. There is a condition. Then there is a UN Convention on Rights of All Migrants. But unfortunately, India at the international level, our government has got a very poor track record on ratification of conventions. So this convention is not ratified by India. Now there are certain ILO conventions which I don't want to discuss in detail because our senior specialist on that in international standards, he has come here and he will be able to educate us about those things. These are all some conventions, and India has not ratified the conventions. India has only ratified the recommendations. Recommendations means that's only an advisory. There is no obligation. But when once a convention is ratified, they are answerable to ILO. So conventions are not ratified, but recommendations are ratified. This is the position. Now there are 8 fundamental conventions of ILO, and they are all most important for a developing society. In a civilized society, these are all most important. Unfortunately, India is notorious in the international arena for not ratifying half of the important conventions. These are the core ILO fundamental conventions. Out of total 189 conventions and more than 200 recommendations. So only 4 are ratified, 4 not ratified, and freedom of association, protection rights. Then even child labor elimination, those conventions also has not been ratified by India. Now there are several other conventions which grant labor rights, minimum labor rights to workers. There are also, this is the list of all those things. I don't want to go into details of these things. Then ILO has framed a multinational framework on migration. There are some guidelines and principles that also I don't want to, because my colleague is there to explain all these things. Now I would like to focus on some of the initiatives in some of the countries where they had addressed the issues related to migrant workers. One is Malaysia, there is a help desk. This is at the initiative of a major trade union in Malaysia. They have collaborated with many organizations which are also working in this area. Even with government also they have collaboration. With the collaboration of all these people, the major union in Malaysia, they have formed a help desk that will be helping the migrant workers that they are all working in Malaysia. So as a receiving country, this is a model. Now it's a place where all migrant workers can immediately approach, and it is manned by a group of volunteers. Then there are officers and staff. They are all going to places where there is a concentration of migrant workers, restaurants, streets, train stations, shopping complexes, etc. They go there. They educate them by giving pamphlets, and they introduce about the activities. Then they use the opportunity to discuss about their own. They find out what are their problems. Then they advise through telephonic conversation. There will be helpline, all these things. So they are also using their office for the work. Then some of the achievements, they have rescued a number of young female workers from abuse and violence, and managed to solve cases involving back wages and non-payment of wages. Then insurance compensation to injured victims, that is also there. Then deceased victims. Then shelters for those who have lost their job, they are on the streets, that is also there. Then some people die in Malaysia, there is nobody to take care of them to send their corpse to their countries, so that also they are doing. Then they are providing shelters for male and for female workers, for runaway people. This is a photo of an injured workman sitting in the office of this help desk. This is a photo of a corpse. A worker died there, so they have made arrangements to sending into their sending country. Then this is the Philippines also. They have made some arrangements. The state is involved. These are all the agencies which are involved, including the non-governmental organizations. So these are some of their objectives and this thing. These are also similar. We will discuss when the other part comes. Then these are also some of the governmental initiatives to settle the issue. When the terms of contract is violated, they will go for legal action. Then transfer remittance, because money cannot be retained there. Then tax-free investment program for overseas workers, that is go as a sending country. This is mainly focusing on as a sending country. Then returnees, migrant returnees, there is also some program for them. Then migrants also receive many subsidized benefits from the. Then Philippines Overseas Employment Administration is there. They are also very effectively they are working. also, their activities are there mentioned, all these things. These also some of the activities which I don't want to, because explanation will take much time for. Then regarding, there are some European countries also involved, Sri Lanka. Here they have only started, it's in the primary stage, but some our trade unions are working on the subject. The Nepal also, Nepal now, recently the activities have increased in Nepal. Because Nepal is a major sending country as far as mainly domestic workers. Then Korea, they are working. These are all the major trade unions there. They are also actively involved in such helping migrant workers. Now Italy also, Italian unions also, they are also working on this thing, trade unions. Then ILO is a major instrument in coordinating all these efforts. So these are all some of the aspects which ILO is doing. So mainly the core labor standards has to be implemented everywhere. As far as migrant workers are there, all the core labor standard has to be implemented. This is a thrust which ILO is doing. Now ILO has proposed a concept. So whatever proposal we want to make, we have to start from the decent work agenda of ILO. This is a basic thing. So decent work also, it's a very vague as far as many countries are concerned, because decency is a word that is missing in most of the countries. India also is not an exception, except in organized sector. We have got a very small organized sector and very large unorganized sector. So in the unorganized sector, this is totally absent. So these are some of the items. Decent wages has to be given, decent service conditions has to be given, decent job security, decent social security, decent safety and health, decent welfare, decent gender justice.
What is gender?
What is it?
Gender justice.
Gender equality between men and women. Men and women. That disparity is very, very high in Indian scenario. Then decent social dialogue means trade union rights and other things. Now let us go through the role of trade unions. This is an area where we have already concentrating, and there also we have to see that there should be a coordination between trade unions in the sending country and receiving country. These are basic fundamentals on which this will work. So BMS have already started such work. Some of the unions that are working in Gulf countries, we have some communications and some arrangements we are slowly trying to, because in India trade union role is still in the very initial stage. So we will work for the improvement quality of life, decent work in respect of migrant workers. Then organizing migrant workers is also a Himalayan task. It's a very difficult task that we have to do. There should be a common platform of all central trade unions, because single trade union cannot do it because it's a large area. So all trade unions, those who are active in this thing, those who are doing their they have to come together and they have to work together. Then there should be a bilateral union to union memorandum of understanding. That is also required, because sending country and receiving country, there should be some communication. Because some problems are there in the Gulf country, immediately suppose somebody, their family people, they approach us, immediately we should be able to communicate and settle those issues. In the same way, starting helped us, just like in Malaysia, they have experimented and aid the migrant workers. That also to be done in Gulf countries. But we know in trade union is in a primitive stage in Gulf countries, and it's very difficult to function for any organization, not only trade union. That also is there. Within that limits, there are many organizations active there. Many even trade unions, even though they are government-sponsored trade unions, they are also interested to help us. Then start guidance centers, educate them regarding their rights and dispute redressal mechanism. That is also very important. They should be aware of redressal mechanism. In what way their disputes can be redressed. Pre-departure training, that is also is very important. There is also some handbooks has to be given. Then labor laws has to be reviewed. That is also. Then recruitment has to be regulated. This is very important because from the recruitment level, this redressal mechanism starts. So it should be only after scrutiny approval of Indian embassies. That is one way. And many countries have already government level they have decided there should not be any recruitment below a minimum prescribed salary. So salary has to be ensured. Minimum salary has to be. Then eliminate illegal recruiting agencies and control legal agencies. Then they should government and embassy has to recognize many certificates, diplomas. That also is required because those who have got diploma from India, that is not being recognized in Gulf countries. That also is some problem. Then government level coordination is also there. So Ministry of Overseas Affairs, they are having MOU with Gulf countries. Even though there are many shortcomings, of course that's a good initiative. So that is also working. Then live contacts between embassies and other organizations, India-based organizations, there should be coordination. Many organizations complain that embassy is not at all cooperating with all these efforts. Now government has got a greater role because India has to be a model on migrant workers. It has to ratify conventions on migrant workers and decent work for domestic workers. These two conventions has to be immediately ratified. Then there should be a comprehensive immigration law, policy and other things. Then voting rights has to be given to NRIs for Indian passport. That is also required. Then there will be a political pressure upon the government. So for that purpose that is gaining strength in many states like Kerala. Then for rehabilitation, because many times they lost their job, they lost their money and they come back. Something has to be there, otherwise there will be socio-psychological issues related to it. Then a legal fund has to be constituted for issues related to migrant workers. Then migrants has to be legally employed. Then regularization of illegal migration. This may be a conflicting term, but we have to say this thing because many people doesn't know that they are migrating illegally. They feel that they are migrating legally. Only when they land in Gulf countries, then only they understand that they are not regular people. So there should be some method by which even in Gulf they can convert into legal migration. So then ensure decent work to migrants, intervention facility, equal treatment on par with local. That is also a major issue because the disparities is there in many countries, trafficking and anti-smuggling. So these are all things which government has to focus. Then role of Indian embassies is also some of the issues. They have to be very proactive. There is a basic thing. Once they are proactive to workers and the migrants, then all the issues will be over. So legal problem should be solved through a panel of advocates. There should be a legal assistance that has to be there. The welfare office has to be started. And we have, I am not included, we have made a strong, BMS has made a strong request to the government that there should be a labor attaché in many of the receiving countries. That also we have raised. Then with regard to women migrant workers, this is a very serious, complicated issue. There is a major issue discussed everywhere. Of course, there is a simple solution put forward by our Haryana Chief Minister for all these issues. You know, child marriage is the easiest way of these issues. So that is not that way simple. So we should have at the trade union level, there should be more women activists at the executive committee. There is one way of addressing with women issues. Then conducting awareness camps for women migrant workers. There are many times there are low educated women, they are going there. Then 8 hours break work, because for housemaids who are going as domestic workers, they are forced to work for 24 hours. This is one thing. And in countries like Saudi Arabia, where culturally also, that country, especially in the suburban area, they are still in the medieval period. So they treat that a domestic worker is equal to a slave. That is the concept. So that creates a lot of problems for them. So 8 hours of work, that has to be recognized. Then legal measures for safety and salary. Then government should use its officers to pass laws protecting the maids and their legal rights. Then safe and hygienic place of residence for women workers. Many times they have to stay inside the kitchen itself and some very unhygienic places. So that also has to be legally ensured. Then collective action, rest places for pregnant and lactating women workers. That also is there, has to be there. Then coordination committees, labor departmental officials, police authorities, inspectors, trade union representatives for inspection and solving the issues of these workers. Then there should be rehabilitation for victims of sexual harassment, that has to be there. Then employment oriented training center for women migrant workers, that is there. Then identify and prosecute employees who employ child labor. So these are all some of the issues related to women workers. Now this is a photo. Now we are complaining about the migrant workers in Gulf countries at night. It's not a question of 100 people. Thousands and thousands of people are staying in the streets only to earn some money. For people from outside Kerala, it's a Gulf for them, money making. But this is the situation. So we have to start everything from our own country. Then only we can complain. We are entitled to complain against our people going to other places. So it's basically a question of our perception, our a level, a standard, our culture. So we have to improve a lot. And India government has to start from ratifying all the international conventions. Then we can do wonders in this thing. With these words, I conclude. Thank you.